All right, beautiful people. So this week we're talking about writing percents and decimals. So our central question today is, how do you write a percent as a decimal? So we're going to recall from last week, because this is super important, that a percent comes from the words per and cent, which means out of 100. So is a number out of 100. Okay, this is super important, not just for making percents into fractions, but for making percents into decimals as well. So a percent is a number out of 100. When you have a percent, you can write it as a fraction, which we already know, like 22% is the fraction 22 out of 100. But you can also write it as a decimal. So 22% is, as we know, 22 out of 100, which is the same as 22 divided by 100, which gives us a decimal that looks like 0.22 or 22 hundredths. Okay, so when we write a percent as a decimal, we can use what we already know about writing it as a fraction to write it as a decimal. Okay, so our key idea here is, that when you have a percent, you can write it as a decimal by dividing by 100. All right, you can write a percent as a decimal by dividing by 100. Because, and I'm going to write this here, this is because percent means out of 100. We are literally taking the definition of percent, like what percent means, and using that to rewrite a percent as a decimal. So let's do some examples, okay? Let's start with 43%. Okay? 43% means 43 out of 100. So I'm going to skip the writing it as a fraction part, and I'm going to go straight to the writing it as division part. So this means 43 divided by 100. And we can use a calculator because we're in the section where we can use a calculator. And if you put 43 divided by 100 in a calculator, you're going to get 0 and 43 hundredths, or 0.43. Okay, some things that you will notice between the percent and the decimal is that they have the same numbers in the same order. 43 is still there. So it starts with 43%, now it's 43 hundredths. The only difference is where I've put this decimal point. Okay, in the decimal version, I move the decimal point so that it's in front of the tens column. Okay, in the percent version, the decimal point is hiding over here to the right of the 3. So the numbers are the same. The only thing that's changed is where the decimal point is. Let's try another one, okay? How about 72%? 72%, again, percent means out of 100. So I know that this is 72 divided by 100. And again, I can use my calculator. And the calculator tells me that this is going to equal 0 and 72 hundredths, or 0.72. Okay, again, my percent looks just like my decimal. The only difference is where that decimal point is. So the decimal point was at the end. Now it's 2 spaces over. Okay. So some things that we might notice. Let's put our noticings over here. Notice. Okay, the numbers stay the same. There's no change. In fractions, sometimes the numbers change because you can reduce a fraction and make it look a little bit different. But for making a percent into a decimal, the numbers stay the same. There's always going to be the same 2 numbers or 3 numbers that were in your original percent. Okay. Notice also the decimal moves. Okay. All right, let's start on the next video.